Hey, 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 welcome everybody to H&D Abroad. I am Herman.
I'm Dee. Welcome to the place where we are sharing real life
Mhm.
as two uh, mid-career professionals, possibly early retirees that are looking at how we will structure life to be better
Mhm.
for us, meeting our individual goals as well as our goals together. So, this conversation today has been well over a year in the making. Sometimes you have to be ready to have the conversation
Mhm.
because we knew the guest we wanted to talk about the topic of uh, when couples are moving abroad and the different aspects that each person and then the marriage must navigate in that decision. So if you know that is what we are about, we are sharing the people that we're meeting on our move abroad journey, the research that we are just things that we're discovering, and we are creating community around that for Black couples because that is our lived experience. So we are really thankful to have the folks that join us each week. We
If,
want to say welcome to them as well.
and as always, if that meets your interest level as 50 plus people, we ask that you would like on this video. Don't wait till later. It's gonna be good. Like it now. Subscribe to our channel because we grow because you're here. We're better because of the community we built with you. And hit the notification bell. We go live every Saturday, mostly.
Yep.
From 1 p.m. Central, that's 2 p.m. Eastern. Um, Thursday nights,
Yep.
the wife does a women's spotlight, and I am wrapping up some people to do a few Man Mondays again. So, and those are usually 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. So
Absolutely. So I do not want
let's do our shout
to
outs. Yeah,
delay
yeah.
on the shout out. So welcome Tanya Brooks.
Tanya, first name
Oh, look, I
that's our
think
number.
David and Nikki are on today.
I take them both.
Servant teacher Nikki, welcome, welcome to our brother and sister
Let's see.
that are in Mexico. Hello, Prophet Mother. Hi, Tori. Pamela Jones. Absolutely. And there's David. Because we want the husbands to be
Present
as present,
as
right, and contributing to this conversation as well.
and the big Jice is in the house.
Absolutely. So what brought this topic forward? So the reality is that as individuals, as humans, we have dreams and goals for ourselves. Even, I'm the one that is planning 20 years out. Okay, that's just me. I'm trying to line up with what my goals are 20 years into the future, and that doesn't always have to match my partner. I don't know what misgivings people or myths people are believing about married people. We are not joined at the hip, and we're not always ready for the same thing at the same time. And I know that we know that the stance that we're taking in this conversation is we've done this.
Mhm.
We had a move that was supposed to be temporary, that expanded to meet a family goal, and it went all kind of sideways. And there were a lot of lessons learned that happened about halfway
Mhm.
um, in our timeline. You guys know we've been married over 25 years. So probably around the 10 or 11 year mark, we I made a jump for a work opportunity, and then we separated our family for almost a year, and that was we were excited about the possibilities, but it was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It was challenging to navigate the time apart. And then also when we were reintegrating as a couple and as a family. And so from that lived experience, we were able to take a deep breath and say, let's talk about, could that be a possibility for people that are looking at the move abroad process?
I've met many couples
Mm-hmm.
growing up in particular
Mm-hmm.
who regularly lived or had extended time apart,
right,
for a variety of reasons. We take for granted military people,
right,
who are often and being in agreement doesn't mean we always agree. It means that we came to an agreement,
right.
And so this conversation really is going to, we believe.
Well, let's see. So the premise is this will be a respectful conversation. Okay. I don't have to agree, but I can be respectful. And the second thing is that this is for grown folk. This is a grown folks conversation. So we are going to keep it real. And I am so glad that Pierre and Angela said yes to having a grown folks conversation, because not a lot of people are ready to really talk about it, and they are valued friends. I mean, we bump up toward each other in the content creation space, but also in the move abroad space, in the business development space, and so. Yeah, you got to have the right folk to have this conversation, and we're glad to have you guys
So
today.
welcome, glad to have you here.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having us.
Man, we like I told, I was telling them earlier, we've been crafting and cutting on this to get this right, so that when they dropped in, they can come with it strong.
Oh.
For those who don't know you yet, tell us. Share whatever intro information you want to share.
Okay. Well, my name is Angela Parker.
And I'm Pierre Parker.
So we started first of all, we've been married. He just told me 30 years this year. Will be 30 years that we've been married.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I always forget. I remember the day, but I never remember how many years. But we'll be married 30 years in December.
Yep.
We have 3 children, 2 grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. 2 dogs.
Two dogs. Yeah. And he's a musician. I am now a podcaster, entrepreneur, trying to get my own business off the ground.
Yep.
And I am the one initiating the move abroad because I am sick and tired of America. California's too damn expensive. And I just want a softer, more relaxed. My whole mantra now in my 50s is peace. All I want is peace. Good vibe, good people, peace. That's all I want in this second half of my life. So anything you want to add, baby?
You said it all.
Okay.
You said it all.
And we did have a podcast together, and with him being so busy, I had to pivot and do something else. But he'll pop up every once in a while on the podcast.
It's still there. I pop up once a month. So, like I said, she got me in the dungeon. I said it on one of our podcasts recently. She got me in the dungeon. I do all the editing and the music for it, and she got shackles on me, and she throw me some bread every now and then.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Keep working.
Send the magic upstairs, man.
Exactly. And I just, I make her look good,
Every time she have it on screen, I'm just glad it's not like.
Exactly. No, we off to the side.
Hey, I'm here with y'all today. Good to see you.
I think to level set the conversation. So Angela said she's the one that's kind of is the motivated to move now.
Yeah.
But why don't we start with finding out where you all align right now? So just show of hands between Pierre and Angela, who has appreciated the life you have built in California now up to this point? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have agreement there. There is
We have
Yeah, we have
agreement there.
agreement there.
Yeah,
it's been a good life.
it
Yes.
has
Okay.
been.
So I mean, let's see. So there is no secret.
Mhm.
There is a desire for Portugal.
Yes.
So who among you is very drawn to Portugal?
I am.
Okay.
Not
So
to say you're
Not
not.
to say I'm not.
Let me say, don't just
No.
point at me. He
Yeah.
is, but not now.
Yeah.
okay, so that's what I'm saying is I'm not talking about now. I'm just
Okay.
saying who likes Portugal
Yeah.
of the two of you.
Well, I like it because I've been there.
Mhm.
I've been the one listening to all the podcasts. And like I've said before, it actually started. This is his fault.
My fault.
He started me listening to Stephanie Perry. He said,
Yeah.
babe, you should listen to this lady. And I'm the kind of person, once I get involved with something, I go 10 toes down, deep in, and it's hard for me to dig my way out.
Mhm.
So I started listening to her. Then I started listening to you guys. I started listening to Blacks at Global. And then Portugal, for me, checked off all the boxes.
Mhm.
Want to talk about healthcare, food.
Well, first remember it started with Costa Rica for a minute.
Well, it was Costa Rica, yes.
Yeah.
It was because of my brother. My brother passed away, and his desire was to move to Costa Rica. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I started learning a little more about more Costa Rica, and I was like, I don't think the weather's going to be my kind of
When
weather.
they said something like it rains like 6 months out of the year. It was like, oh no, we good.
Yeah.
We come from Californians. We
Right.
Because it never rains in Southern California, you know.
So that has been, that's what has drawn me to Portugal, because it reminds me a lot of California without the California headache.
Mhm.
And like I said, he's never been to he's never been to Portugal, but he has friends. He has a ex-boss who just moved to Portugal. He's from Portugal, but he moved back. A lot of folks that we know and have talked to are very interested in moving to Portugal. So it's not like he hasn't had any conversations about it. He's just never visited.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think what we have is I've fallen in love, and I don't mind liking it. And so let's see. So if we're talking about, this is a grown folks conversation, and we don't listen to Exodus Summit in a soundproof room.
Right.
Where did the introduction, Pierre, to this whole, I like the thought of visiting, but I want to move. How did that get introduced to you?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I think it had a lot to do with, like she said, the Stephanie Perry and all of that stuff, and the Blacks at Global. And then it just, well, like we said, we were looking at like Costa Rica, we looked at Belize, we were looking at different places and just throwing them out there. And then Portugal came up because I think, was it Stephanie Perry or somebody had mentioned Portugal, and then so she started looking into it, and then she started listening to Rick and Halisi, and Rick, and then I'm sorry, I'm getting phone calls. Remember, it's my birthday, so y'all gotta excuse me.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Yeah, so she started listening to them, and then she really started liking the stuff that they were saying, and we both would listen, and we had them on the show and things like that. So I think that probably sparked more of the intrigue in her, and then so she would come to me, and we talked a little bit about it, and that's pretty much how it started. How it pretty much came out. I think it was between Stephanie Perry and Rick and Halisi. So.
But it's funny for me, I don't even remember when it really was like, this is what I want to do. And there wasn't a big like, some folks, it's like, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of that. But for me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm so tired of, California, or I'm so tired of America. That inched its way in when I started seeing the possibilities elsewhere. So it wasn't like I was totally like, I'm ready to move now. And in the very beginning, it was more like, oh, this seems like something that might be unique and following in my brother's footsteps. But it wasn't just that pivotal moment where I said, this is what I have to do until later.
Yeah.
So I can't even really say what sparked that interest so much that I was just like, this is what I have to do in the very beginning. It was just like, oh, that sounds nice. I wonder what that would be like to live in another country.
Because it sounds like, and which isn't necessarily different from a lot of the conversations we've had, is there was a mutually open beginning conversation. They were already in the middle of exploring moving abroad as an option, just in general. No,
that wasn't. I don't think that was. It was.
Well, when I say that, I mean in the sense of, I know you mentioned, kind of looking at it from the respects of your brother, and so you were kind of exploring the possibility, because out of remembrance of him. And so it was a conversation that was there, and it kind of blossomed with research.
Yes. Well, it blossomed. Yeah, it blossomed more on my end with research, because like I said, once I go down a rabbit hole of something, I'm like a bloodhound. So it was more research on my end, and the more I researched, the more I was like, this is what I want to do. And then of course, with everything that goes on, and in the expense of California, that slowly started chipping away at, this is what I need to do, and him not necessarily being on the same timeline, even though we've had many discussions, it was something I'm like going, this is what I have to do. It's just, and it's become progressively even more, I have to do this.
Pierre, when you began to recognize that the conversation was pivoting, becoming more intense for Angela, becoming more important.
I would what I'm also hearing is that she's putting herself on a timeline, and it's not theoretical. Right. It's now moving into a checklist of what do I need to do to get there versus.
Yes.
What was the impact for you? How did you respond to that?
How did I respond to it? I was like, that's nice. I was like, okay, that's nice. No, I just kind of like, in the beginning portions of it, I mean, I know how she is. Like she said, she'll go down a rabbit hole and things. But also what she's not telling you is she'll go down a rabbit hole on something, and then she'll lose interest. And when she loses interest, she's done. So I'm like, okay, so let me just let her go.
Oh, he thought I was going to lose interest.
And we'll see
this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Well,
go
it's like,
ahead, baby, it's like, ahead.
Let me see if she's going to lose interest. If she's going to lose interest in it, then, okay, we on to the next thing. So, but, she doesn't seem to be losing interest in it. So I'm like, okay, so she's serious. So I'm like, okay, well, we'll see where it's going to go. So we'll have periodic conversations about it and things like that. But that's the way I was taking it, and that's, like I said, she's done other things, and
that's a husband thing.
I was going to say, because Angela, I'm with you on the, once I start seeing how a new thing can benefit me, I'm marinating on it. I'm thinking about it. I'm grabbing more information and I'm lining it up with, look, this is going to solve some problems, some issues, create some new opportunities
Right.
for me. And I'm 10 to 20 thoughts ahead.
Yes. Yeah.
And you all have heard us talk about the move abroad process and how it was decades. Pierre, this is you just articulated. Herman, I've been talking about moving abroad since we were dating.
Yeah.
And he was just like, okay, I'm just going to say, yeah, because, I support you, but like, I don't have any, I'm not trying to make it happen for you. Because like you said, this may be not, I don't want to call it flavor of the month, but like, I want to know what it means to you. How did you talk about the meaning part of it going from, hey, this is something nice, I'm listening to these people. Like, how did you have the conversation about this is more than just a fancy? Angela, how did you present to Pierre that this process has a deeper meaning for me? It's resonating and more than just the money, the food, even the location is irrelevant. Like, I need this to happen for me in this time, in a time frame, and not a theoretical future.
And maybe in addition to answering that question is, when did you realize that you felt that way?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Why look at me like that? I think within the past year, it's been really like, I've got to do this. I've got to put me first. And that's really what it has been about. And if most of the ladies listening here are 50 plus, like I always say, there's a transformation that comes with becoming 50 plus, that you finally start to say, I need to put me first. And in my heart, I've always been a traveler in my heart. I'm a Sagittarius, so I love to travel. That's just in me. So it has been swelling up inside me for a while. But with kids and a husband and a household and a career, I put all that on the back burner. So I would say within the last year, I've been really like, I've got to do this. And I've told him, if I don't do this, I can't blame anybody but me. And I don't want to get on my deathbed. And I know this might sound morbid and say, I wish I could have, should have done what I wanted to do. And then have, and be upset with him, be upset with myself, be upset with my kids, when really it's all on me. I have to make that choice to either do it for myself or stay behind, and because I'm doing it for everybody else. I'm staying behind for everybody else. So that conversation, you can add on at any time. That conversation has happened where I told him I have to do this. And I would love for him to join me at this time when I'm ready to go. But I also understand that he has a timeline. He has responsibilities here, and things that he has to put into place. So hopefully I answered that.
That's Pierre.
Well, I'm going to ask a question. I want to interject here because I think it's an important moment to say to young brothers listening. Our fathers did not inform us that these transitions happened. Okay.
No.
I'm holding our fathers responsible. Okay. Our fathers did not inform us. And I wonder sometimes if they realized what was going on.
Mhm.
They did not inform us because as husbands, and I'm talking about people paying attention, husbands,
Mm-hmm.
we think we are fulfilling ongoing dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to work like we're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
We invest in the children, we invest in the house and the things and the property, those things that are taught to us as spaces of safety
Mm-hmm.
for our beloved.
Yeah.
And so when the narrative changes, we are completely caught off guard.
Yeah.
Especially when we recognize that it is more than just a passing fancy,
Mm-hmm.
more than just the flavor of the month, as you said. And it's not because our wives are fickle. It's because there are so many things that a complex woman involves in her life that isn't a part of our journey with them.
Right.
And so sometimes we're just going, hey, I support you, fight on. And you don't realize sometimes that is a request for a collaborative venture, and our minds are not there.
Yeah.
We're not talking about likes and dislikes, desires. We're talking about not there. So, okay, Pierre, so this conversation has gotten serious between the two of you. Right? You're recognizing that this is not a flavor of the month.
Yeah.
You are now looking at how you are evaluating life from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying you're on a different timeline. So what's that timeline? How do you begin to recognize that and then relate that back to her?
Well, it's interesting because, like, in my mind, like you said, our fathers didn't teach us stuff like this. Basically, our fathers, all of that stuff that you said, as far as that we do, our fathers told us that's what being a man is.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, you got to be a man. You go to work, take care of your family, and that's it. You take care of your family. So that's what I was told that all of that stuff is. And I think it was you, Ward, one time in the interview we talked, and you said, how we as men, we sit and we get the house and we put the house together, everything, get everything set up for the house and everything right and all that stuff. And then you finally get the house to the way that she wants it. And then she goes, I want to move over here. And then we go, what? Hold on. What? But I took all this time and I worked hard to get this the way that you wanted it. Now you want to leave it.
Yeah.
So I think like I said, I think it was you that said that when we had our interview. And that was like, that's exactly it. We work as men, we work hard to put together this life that, where we live comfortable and we live to this, our standards that we finally get to, and, we work hard. Not saying that you guys, the women, don't work hard at all, but we make sure, in our DNA as men and as husband, well, I'm not going to say all, but in general,
yeah,
we work hard to make sure our families and our whole life is set up to where it's comfortable for us. So then, like you said, when you come in and you introduce the other element that, okay, now I want to move over here, I want to go over here, you're like, oh, damn, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But in my case, like I said, like she said, I have a lot of other things that's going on here. My dad, we just lost my mom last year. So my dad is by himself. I'm the only child. So now I'm dealing with my dad who's 78 years old. And, I don't want to say showing signs of dementia. I don't think so. But, when you're dealing with an older parent, you know how that is. Or some people, some of us do. So that's one reason why I was like, I can't just up and leave now. Then I got an aunt who is just dang near the same way, but she treats me like her son, but she's always calling on me. So she's another reason. And then besides those two, as far as my life, as far as musically and things like that, and business and stuff, I have a lot of stuff set up as far as musically that it would be just hard to just drop all of that and then just uproot and go over here. And then, like I've told her before, I said, you know, it would be easier for you to go over there first, or for us to go over there, you know, in increments and, you know, month 2 here, there, 3 months, and see how it is. Because like I said, if I was to uproot everything, all that I built, all of this stuff, go over there, and then like I said, she gets over there and she'd be like, yeah, I'm not feeling this no more. Let's go. It's on. We got problems because I didn't.
We having a grown folks conversation.
We got problems.
Okay, you hear me? We having grown.
We didn't move across town.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't move across town. I done sold everything. I done sold the cars. I done sold all my music equipment and everything, my studio and everything. I'm over here. I'm hot. Yeah, you got a hot ass American over here.
We are designed to make life for you when we're gone.
There you go.
Because the expectation is we'll be gone first.
Mm-hmm.
From the time I was a middle teenager, my father said to me, here's where the will is, here's where the money is, because when I'm gone, you're going to need to take care of your mother. My mother was 2 years older than my father. But the whole concept was preparing to take care of mom when dad is no longer around. That was a conversation for decades. So when my mother got Alzheimer's and passed, I was completely derailed because I don't know what to do for him. Because that has never been the focus of the conversation. We plan our lives. We build these things so that you can have this right here.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we will gladly uproot. David, who's on here, Nikki and David, we had this conversation. We will gladly uproot to wherever your dream is, if that's the most important thing. But you better show as hell know that is exactly what you're trying to do when you make such a large investment. I mean, and I think sometimes that reality is missed in the conversation because I don't believe that we believe it's a whim for you. But we can't take a chance that it's a whim. I applaud what you said a minute ago, Pierre. You said, so, you know, if we have to, we do this in increments. We go here, we go there, you go a while, you figure it out, you feel yourself, and then we kind of feel it out, and I bleed myself in. Because a lot of times the conversation feels like we do it or we don't do it. We're doing it together or we're not doing it together.
And that is why we wanted you all to talk about when your timelines don't match.
Yeah.
Right.
But there is agreement in the process throughout.
Yes.
Where can we agree? We can agree that you will confirm, investigate. We're in agreement on that. It doesn't necessarily mean we gotta shut everything down and everything's gotta line up together. It means we come to an agreement in here.
Yes.
And it don't have to make sense for the folk out there.
It has to be authentic. It has to be authentic to your house. When on last year we both got accepted to the Spain program, and she's like, "Why don't you go?" And I was like, I'm not going to be on the other side of the world for 9 to 12 months without you. That's not happening.
Because of what happened before. And so we know what that experience, and so we came to an agreement out of that experience. And what I want people to recognize is, out of the trust experiences you have in your marriage, out of the growth that your partner may be witnessing. I mean, if you are not already subscribed to Unapologetically 50 plus, look, we are having real conversations about menopause. We're having conversations about the emotional growth, the transformation that's happening, which means I have to be honest within myself. And then I have to keep my partner abreast of that 20 steps ahead. I learned that was not fair to my partner to be 20 steps ahead. And so I would drop, the Hansel and Gretel, some breadcrumbs to say things are transforming here. I wanted, because that is where this question to Pierre, it looks like you're getting the questions today.
I love it. It's all good.
Angela represents so much of what the sisters that have joined represent. Is we have this dream. We believe that moving abroad is central. And so sometimes it does take a shift. And so what is that Francesca is asking is if there is a shift in your feeling of safety, in your livelihood, your employment, would staying in the U.S. make sense if you didn't have the centralized responsibility that you feel for your aunt and your father, for your business? Would you feel the same way? Do you see a shift to the things that are central to the pull to stay and be the grown, responsible adult male that you have established, that feels that where the U.S. is where you are called to be at this point? Can you see where a shift? And I'm saying this because in our conversation with Lamar and Angela, which I think you all have had on as well. Lamar was like, once he saw what happened to, George Floyd, he was just like, that was the tipping point for me. What's happening do you see there being a reason that would take you away?
Do I see a reason that would take me away? That
would make
moving make sense,
more priority than staying for the responsibilities you mentioned earlier.
Well, I mean, right now, everything in this country right now is a means to make you might be like, I'm out, throw the peace sign up. But I still got to look at reality as far as, like I said, my dad, my businesses and things like that. Those things are still, even though all of the other stuff is going on in the world, in this country, those things are still going. So even though I'm not being affected immediately on some of this stuff right now, I still have to make money. I still have to take care of, who I have to take care of and those things like that. But like I said, if those things, wasn't around, then it'd be easy just to pick up and go somewhere else.
I think it's important to throw in right here something that I haven't said in a long time. Ladies, we do not interpret the words peace and safety the same as you.
No.
We do not interpret them the same. In reading this question, I completely understand the urgency of these things. But in the realm of being a Black man in particular, and that this is our life, these are not always risk factors, because this is daily life. And so we've learned to manage and recognize where these things are a problem or not. And a lot of times priorities and responsibilities supersede these, which can sometimes feel like minor risks. I'm probably more concerned about these things for my sons than I am for me. Okay, because I have 20-year-old sons. So if I could get them away from here. I had to stay. I would invest in that more than me leaving, because the impact on their age in this impact and the fact that they don't fully comprehend
the
danger of those risks.
Right.
I've been doing this like this 50 years.
50 years.
Okay. So, making a decision is about a broader thing than just, is America acting crazy? Every third president is America acting crazy.
Yep.
Okay. And again, I'm not talking about dismissing the importance of the dangers or the, the things that are involved in that. But you hear a lot of Black men say, where am I going? Why would I go somewhere? I built this. I did this. I made this. All this is because we were here. Why am I packing up and going somewhere else and having to start all over again in a new language and a new thought and a new city and a new world and no friends, no spam, there's the things that I recognize. You're asking me to not just move. You're asking me to. It's like moving from a heavy meat eater to a vegan in a week.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. There's a transition to because religion, veganism, those are lifestyle changes. And moving to another country is a lifestyle change.
Okay, so Leah's saying something that I'd like for you all to comment on as well, is that we're not responsible for each other's happiness. No. Is that we must pursue the things that bring us joy. And as a couple, how do you support that? What does support? If we're saying that you've come to an agreement that the timelines don't match, come to an agreement that Portugal is a solution you desire to pursue, where is Angela feeling supported by Pierre? How does that show up in a marriage?
I have to admit that he has been very supportive. He has been. Because I know there'd be a lot of men out there saying, you're not leaving, blah, blah, blah. But we also, having done this for 30 plus years, he married 30, together longer than that. I have put it this way. When we first got together, him being a musician, I have always told him, and especially in the beginning, if you ever want to do a tour, if that is your goal, and that means you have to be gone a year, 2 years, I got you. I'll hold it down. But I want to make sure that you can't look back when you're 60, 70 and say, I wish I could have done this, but you held me back. I said, I don't want that ever. Your music came first, and I will always respect that. So, and through his karate, through his getting his black belt, took 10 years, through all his other endeavors.
I had plenty of them.
I have always said, if that makes you happy, then that's what I want you to do. I'm not going nowhere. That's what I want you to do. And he has in turn said, if you need to do this move, then I'm not going with you right now, but I want you to do it because I want you to be happy. And one thing that you said in the beginning, Dee, you said as married couples, we are not joined at the hips. We are still individuals. And that's what I think a lot of couples forget is that, yes, you are a team, but even on a team, you're individuals. You have your individual goals. You have your individual likes and dislikes. You need time. You need that space away from each other. Yeah. And he has been very supportive. And I have to admit, sometimes I don't talk as in detailed about the things that are going on in my head because one, we are such, this is my best friend. This is my buddy. This is my road dog, Bonnie and Clyde. And sometimes I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to make him upset, even though he doesn't show it. He might, he won't show it, but I don't want to make him upset, or I guess I don't want to also have his feelings come back on me where I said, okay, I'm not going to do it. Because I know that's what would happen. He would, he might say something or he might show his real emotions. Then I'll be like, okay, I won't do it, babe. because I know how close we are. But he has been very supportive. He has basically said, if this is what you need to do, go out there, do what you have to do. And I've even said, okay, maybe I have to come back every 3 or 4 months, depending on, the residency process. I might have to go back. I might come back, once or twice a year. And you come up there when you get a break, when he finally decides to retire.
That's another thing. I'm still working too.
He's still working by choice, but he's still working. So that has really been refreshing and very helpful for me, is that he is so open and so supportive in this whole move abroad. And he hasn't said, no, don't do it. Or, he just wants to know the details. He wants to make sure that I'm going to be safe, which Portugal, 7th safest country in the world. So I'll be safe.
But see on the safe part, look, I'm also, like I said, being a man.
Come on now.
Being in, all the martial arts training and all this stuff I've been through, safety is a big deal. When it's now, wait a
minute. We live in Oakland, California, so we know what the safety like is.
But the safety. He's not talking about his safety.
I know he's talking about mine. I know, but that's what I'm saying.
So
we live in Oakland, California.
Even, and this is a prime example. Even when she went to Portugal, she was telling me, "Oh, the place is nice. The Airbnb we staying in. What's the first thing I said? What's the neighborhood like?"
So it ain't no worse than here.
I was like, what's the neighborhood like? I need to know these things. I need to know where my woman is at. The environment that you're in. That's a safety thing. That's a man thing. A man that don't do that, something is wrong. You should be thinking about where your wife is at. What's the environment around it? Tell me that first, that you're safe, and I can feel safe that you're safe, and then tell me all that. Oh yeah, this building over here, this restaurant over here, okay, because now I know, okay, it's all right for you to walk over there, and all of these different things, and I don't have to be doing the whole taking thing, and you
got a particular set of skills.
I'm about to come out there and handle business,
But Pierre, you've got a particular set of skills.
Exactly. Exactly. I can feel safe. I don't have to use those particular set of skills.
I'm gonna keep you on retainer, my boy. I gotta go down south. Meet me on the road.
Exactly.
Listen. D was just. D was just in Barbados.
Yeah.
And my wife is highly independent. It's one of the things that I appreciate about her, because I know if I go into a coma tomorrow, she got it locked down. I don't ever have to worry about that.
Okay.
But at the same time, my wife is highly independent, and so sometimes I'm like, I need you to not walk a mile from this place to that place with your goods. But she took this trip and she called. She was like, I'm gonna do these things, and I usually wait. Because in time she'll say, okay, I've evaluated that option and this was a better option and this was whatever. And she'll call me and let me know, I did this, I did that. Or I'm in the midst of doing this and I'm recognizing that this is not necessarily dangerous, but I'm less covered than I want to be. So I'm calling you. And those open conversations, because I do the same. I've called and when I had my stroke. I could have just driven home. I literally was driving my car and the left side of my body went to sleep. I immediately called her while I was driving with the right side of my body.
My God.
I easily could have just pulled over to the side of the road, waited a few minutes, see, that guy thing. I'm just going, we're going to get through this.
I'm be good in a minute.
All right in a minute, that level of open conversation creates a trust that makes doing things that are contradicting each other work together. So I guess, Pierre, the same question would go back to you then, is how is Angela showing support to you as you've made the decision to not yet transition? as you're taking care of these responsibilities that you find important?
Look, this is gonna sound weird, and it's probably gonna sound, why you gotta put it that way. But she don't bug me about it. She don't push me on it. You know, she really don't. We'll talk about it a little bit, and she'll bring up a few little things, and we'll talk, and then, you know, we kind of go on. So she doesn't like try to drive it into you. She doesn't try to, you know, she's letting me kind of come into it on my own.
Hey, I've said, why don't we just have your dad move down there with us, and he's like, nope.
Hell no. And she's like, we can get a 3-bedroom. He can stay with us. Hell no. No.
One time for the big brothers. Hell to the no.
Hell no.
And you even bring your aunt too.
Look, quadruple hell no.
When we started this conversation, she said, "Oh, you know, we'll bring the 20-year-old with us." You know, at first, you know, he was just 18.
Yeah.
You know, your brain is him at 18. As we moved into the 19 and 20, hell no. I was like, bro, I'm gonna find him an apartment. You can be. we sending him to Japan in January.
Okay.
He may not know it may be a one-way ticket, baby.
So you figure it out, son.
You figure it out, baby boy. And, if you get bad, you call me. You know. I mean, and it's because. I stopped. I was doing some deliveries this week. I do some part-time package delivery, and I was delivering, and I pulled up to a house of a young man with his little girl. She probably was 2-3 years old.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, man, you know, cherish these moments. They get big so fast. And he was like, yeah, I heard. And we just had a new baby last month. And I was like, man, I remember. I was like, my kids in their 20s. He's like, oh, I can't wait. Husbands. I told Debbie, husbands, fathers, just like you're talking about, we raise kids, we had a husband, we want to do these things, you know, and I want to explore the world. Now I want to get my life back. We're looking to get our wife back.
Yeah.
So a part of this conversation, a part of the edge sometimes is, okay, now I've worked in my way to having you back here by my side, and you talking about, you know, flying off in the wind.
You want to fly off?
Yeah, what the heck's wrong with you, girl? I mean, sit down somewhere. I mean, I made this chair for you. I made these matching recliners so that you can sit down right here next to me.
But Angela and I talked about this when I was on her channel. The steps that I've taken, I feel like I'm showing up as a better me now.
And I understand that now.
Mm-hmm. Counseling has benefited us.
Yeah.
My solo married travel has benefited us. The things that I'm discovering and making peace with inside myself, the caring that I'm showing those massages every other week. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But the way that I'm caring, you're getting what did the dude say? Angela, I sent you the video. I was like, he said, you're not getting a new wife, but you are.
But that's the things that we do as husbands when we're paying attention. Because David is talking here about sometimes wives don't realize we're trying to be their covering even when we're not present. I think sometimes it's understood, but it's not always recognized. And we want you to be the best you. We are selfish like that.
Right.
The more you shine, that's more diamond for me. I'm not, you know, hey, so do you, there is no, and again, we're talking about healthy relationships here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And understand that sometimes what can sound like resistance requires a conversation, maybe even a mediated conversation, because there isn't necessarily a desire to prevent you from being all you want to be and to do all it's just, how does this affect my ability?
This comment right here
to love you.
Freedom from motherhood is amazing.
Yes, it is.
But so is the freedom from fatherhood.
Yes. Thank you.
No,
We will
definitely.
never not be parents,
I think,
but
you
we
know-
just parent differently in your brain. Your brain
I
can
think
function
it
differently.
is still often assumed
Mm.
that motherhood is a harder task than fatherhood.
Speak to that, young people.
Well, what I was going to say now, in our two things in our relationship,
Mhm.
he did a lot of traveling, so he
Yeah.
forgets to mention that with his music.
Yeah.
And
So
even
real quick, that's what was it Kimmy? Kimmy had asked.
Give me Apple. Uh-huh.
Yeah, she had put that in her calendar. Thought that I would probably be one of the ones that would do more of the traveling.
and
Yes,
he did.
I
He did.
did.
So all this time that he was able to travel, and I traveled with him a few times, but travel and be away and so forth. He's had that time. So for him right now, he's not really anxious to do a lot of traveling. And he's
Mhm.
still doing traveling. He went to India and he's been doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
And I've been at home, especially when the kids were younger. I was at home taking care of the children.
Yeah, she was holding it down.
I was holding it down. And also the difference is for me, I am not what you would call a typical, they call him helicopter mom. I never have been. He's more of the helicopter
was
dad.
more me.
He's very, when it comes to the kids, he's the one who's like, oh, we got to do this for the kids. And I'm like, why? They are 30 plus and 25, 26 plus. Why? But I've never been overly, and this might sound harsh, but an overly nurturing mother. I'm like, those are our kids. I love them dearly, but this is my first priority. And we've always told the kids that. But
Same.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Same.
And it's funny because I'm
Go
going
ahead,
to cut
baby.
you off real
Go
quick.
ahead.
It's funny how a lot of people look at that and go, "That's wrong.
Mhm.
Your kids are supposed to come first." It's like,
no.
I
no.
married her. I didn't marry the children we were going to have.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
And it doesn't diminish the love that we have for our children.
right.
Right.
That's what people have to
Absolutely.
understand.
Right.
People
Or
think
the
that,
investment in them. Right. Yeah.
exactly. They just, just queen is here and kids is here. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the way you look at it.
I love this comment. I love this.
I've
I
always-
always wanted to be a stay-home mom.
Taylor.
You my
Taylor,
kind of
man.
people. You my kind of people.
That's
Taylor.
That's Taylor. That's Auntie Taylor.
Okay.
What do you call her? Wait, no, what do you call her?
Oh no, that's not Auntie.
No, that's not Temple.
Auntie Temple. Taylor.
Taylor.
Oh,
She's been on our-
sex goddess.
She's been on our show.
Sex goddess. That's what she has
Well.
a great channel. Taylor Sparks.
Yeah. Hey, Taylor.
Oh, wow.
So, but yes, I agree. Stay-at-home mom just didn't want. Right. So at least there's some other women out there that understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
But yeah, as for the traveling, he's done a lot of traveling, and it's been from work and music. But
yeah.
so
But I mean,
forgot what the conversation, what the topic was. We were.
and what I was going to say, it kind of goes back to some of the things we were saying is that's one of the reasons why also I support her on this, is because I would be a damn fool to not support her when she supported me in every aspect of my life since we've gotten together.
Agreed.
She's supported me on music. She supported me on my martial arts. She supported me. I was doing short films and,
Some of it was
all of that
all
stuff.
together.
All
It was.
together.
It was overlapping.
yeah, and
Pretend.
working at the same time.
And working.
I did all of this stuff and she never complained. The only thing she said is, no, it was minute. She said, she said, look, I was there before the music. I'm not going to be backseat to the martial arts and everything else.
No, I wasn't there before the music.
Not yeah. I mean, I was there before the music, but I'm not going to be backseat to the other ones. So you better make sure that, I get my time.
Mhm.
And I told her, I said, well, once I get my black belt, let me finish
did.
my black belt. Once I
Mhm.
get my black belt, I'll spend as much time as I can with
And
you.
he did. He held to his promise.
So,
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. If you have a person who has put everything, who has been your rock and allowed me to go off, and because normally I always say that I'm the one, I'm the anchor and she floats off. So she's in the atmosphere saying, we can go do this and we go do that. And I'm like, well, we got to think about this first.
So I'm pulling him up a little bit,
Yeah.
and he's holding me down.
But the tables were turned before, because she was the rock holding down the family and the kids, and I was out, doing the music and all of that other stuff. And so, like I said, I would be a damn fool to not support her. So I have every support, every bit of, if she wants to, like the talks we've had, I said, if you want to go ahead and go. I'll be the rock here until I can get out there, and you go do what you have to do. I understand this is something that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to be the thing that stops you from doing it. You go ahead and go, and I'll come out there, my couple 2-3 months here and there, whatever, and check in or whatever until I'm able to get there completely. So that's
how. Let's see. So a question that we get on our channel a lot, and that we've probably had a couple of conversations on, is who you telling? So, and nobody, we understand in a grown folks conversation, this is an A-B conversation. You can see your way out. Nobody has to agree but the two of you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you have found ways to make peace. Who do you prioritize in sharing what your next steps look like and why?
Who would prioritize? You answer that.
Yeah. I really haven't talked in depth with anyone but him about my desire to move. My kids know, they know. And I think they're still like, okay, sure, mom's move. Yeah, okay. She's not going to leave dad. Sure, So in-depth conversation, I've mentioned to people like his dad that, hey, I'm moving. I'm moving to another country. And I still think everybody's like, oh yeah, okay. You're not going to leave here. You're not going to leave your husband. So to have in-depth conversations, I haven't just yet, because one, I wanted to say, okay, I have my appointment, which I do June or July 22nd. I have my appointment to start the visa process. I have my date, because for a long time I didn't have a date. I was just saying, okay, let me feel it out. Let me, because this is an emotional process for me to leave him behind. What am I going to do? Am I going to take one of the dogs? Am I going to leave them both here? So there's all these things that are still going on in my head. So as for actually telling folks, okay, this is what's happening, I think my sister's probably the only one that knows as much as he does, because she wants to also move there. And one other friend kind of knows a few of the details, but not as much as he does or my sister. So, will I tell the kids? Of course, I'm going to tell them eventually, but I wanted to make sure I had a date in mind and when the visa process starts. Because one, I don't want their emotions, like I said for him, I don't want their emotions to deter what I want to do. And your kids and family, they can make that complicated when they put in their own opinions. And are you sure that's what you want to do? And, bless his dad's heart. Thought Portugal was a third world country. I said, no, Dad, it's not. Love you, baby, but no.
My dad is a character in his own.
He's very, very old school.
I say that because it sounds like you all have the practice of healthy boundaries also. Ain't nobody in your business telling you how to spend your money.
Right.
Nobody's in your business. No one is, that you've learned how to navigate those things, and that must be intentional. And that there is confidence in your partner that they are able to operate in the same way that shields.
Yeah.
We've, one of the things that, I don't want to out everybody. I've heard people say is this you talking or is this your husband talking? It's none of your business. We have made a decision.
Yeah.
And I think from a marriage perspective, we're having this conversation. And I think that is another hallmark that kind of indicates that the decision-making part of this process is able to move forward confidently between the two of you all.
Right.
Because there are some fundamental things. You all have built a foundation that this process is on top of. And that me peering in, you don't see that. You're not going to see those multiple levels, those experiences. And it really is none of I don't know if I can say that enough in this conversation.
Nikki and David were on, and they shared with us what she's saying here, that they made this transition individually because she had to be there before he could be there. And it's not for those who may be confused, this is not a simple process, especially when you are when you show road dog, when you show, as you said, you're in your ride or die. It's like, okay, going, I'll get there when I get there. Yeah. You know where that's going.
Right.
Yeah. There's something wrong there already.
Right.
There is the year that Dee spent away and I had the kids. It was, we've had some difficult challenges over the course, but that might be the hardest thing I've ever had to do. We were 10 years in, maybe.
Yeah.
And the kids were kindergarten, 3rd grade, 5th grade.
Wow.
And that was, and it wasn't me alone with the kids. It was her absence.
Yeah.
It was the inability to just, when you need to. And that is, this is your energy person. And so this decision is not trivial. I want to acknowledge Metamorphosis' comment here. When you have differences of opinions and how you're going to move in something as life changing as moving abroad,
how would you guys advise?
What would you share?
Yeah. How would you all advise her on this? I mean, I don't know if she was looking for advice, but here we are.
That's a really hard one. Because look, we've been married 30 years and been, like she said, been together 30 plus. I say 36, 37. She be trying to be modest about it, but you see Metamorphosis, you see that even we're have to have constant conversations about it. It's not an easy process. So for you to be in a relationship, I don't know how long you've been in a relationship with this man, but that's a hard thing.
And especially if leaving the country is so important to you, and he's like, nope, I don't want to do it. Now, is he, nope, I don't want to do it right now, or nope, I don't want to do it at all, or, you know what, babe, you go ahead and go forward like, we're doing, and I will join you. Or if he's just solid, nope, I'm not leaving, period, end of story, and you're like, this is what I have to do, then maybe getting married or remarrying might not be the best option for you.
Might not be.
You have to decide. You have to decide again what conversation you're having. One of the things that we try to share here on our channel is that the conversation has to be broader than just the initial words. The initial words come with the want and desires dropped on top of them. It doesn't always come with the understanding and openness for compromise, and so we see the extremes, the will and won't. We don't always feel comfortable with the maybe, or the eventually, or the we don't always are comfortable with that because those sound like no's.
Yeah.
they sound like no's when actually they're not always no's. Sometimes
Right.
it's just, I need you to wait a minute.
Yeah.
We've had several people we've talked to on this channel, or people who've been in the chat, who said, I gotta know, oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
And they had resigned to it was going to always be a no. And sometimes it was just a matter of changing the conversation, changing the exposure, changing the place.
I have to say, and I feel like Angela would be in agreement with me. If you cannot express why this is important to you before you marry,
Yes.
take a look. The move abroad is not that is the surface issue. There may be not declaring anything about your relationship,
Right.
but this takes it takes a lot of honesty and self-disclosure and then standing up for your dream. I shared with Herman this morning about how I wish when I was in 10th grade, I had an opportunity to travel, and my parents came back and said, as a part of a tour group, and my parents were like, no, and I didn't push back.
Yeah.
And it was another 5 years and another opportunity came up and I did. And I was just like, when will we stand up for our dreams? My hope is that you're not over 50. But it's never too late. Yolanda said that earlier in this conversation. And it can be scary in a relationship to begin to say things that may look different. You may be coming at your partner in a different way with a different level of motivation that they've never seen, passion that you've seen before. Like, it's going to take them a minute to change even how they relate to you about this new thing. And so
if it's difficult, if Pierre and I are saying that it's difficult as 20 plus, 30 plus year in people.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
Because your mind, the man's mind is designed to go linear.
Yeah.
It's designed to build a path that is, we plow the earth.
Wow. Exactly.
If the mountain is climbing in this, but it's a part of that path, then the mountain got climbed, not because we were trying to climb the mountain, but we were trying to go that way.
Yeah.
Women fly.
Yeah.
They're born flying. They're born with wings. There's always, but we don't always recognize that, because sometimes we don't recognize that we're the person holding their foot.
Yeah.
Because we're trained like that. I had a conversation.
Not from holding us back.
And not from holding you back, just, hey, I'm going, you're with me. And, we don't realize that, you got to let it go. And so that conversation may require a broader context on what you're trying to share and what you're trying to hear. I said to one of my children, and I'll leave it broader like that, they were expressing their concern about when they get into friendships or relationships, that the longer the relationships go, the more people keep pulling away. And I said, there's several reasons for that. And it may not have anything to do with you doing anything wrong. I said, we unconsciously present this is the safe me to people. When we get to this is the me to people, sometimes they aren't always aren't able to balance what they got from who you are.
Yeah.
I said, and sometimes we have to take into account and say to ourselves, who am I and how do I present that from the front, from the top? What are my dreams when we're sitting here across from each other, getting to know each other, so that you can decide from the front, oh, I like that, I don't like that.
Right.
And we harbor things because we're so afraid of being disappointed by people's responses. We hold on to things because we don't always know how to fully express what we desire. And if I say this and you took it like this and I find a better way to explain it later, then you're going to feel I changed it up on you. Well, either way, you change it up on me.
Yeah.
So that's just a part of the risk of relationships. And I say, continue in the conversation.
Yeah.
Don't, you know, the choosing to be married with somebody who cares about you. If you honestly believe that, then the conversation, keep having it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that bigger than anything, a honest, open conversation. And as healthcare professionals, we say all the time, when necessary, find mediation. Sit down across from a counselor and talk about all the things.
Yes.
You guys came with probably some thoughts that we may not have had given you the opportunity to share about this topic. Why don't you each take a minute and just speak to the camera, speak to the people in the audience, speak to those who are going to join us in the future in the replay. What has this conversation meant for you, and what would you like people to come away with?
You go first.
No, ladies first.
Oh, I have a minute to think. I need a minute to think.
Well, I mean, did you want to go off of?
There was one comment that from Organic Lovin'. There's a difference between commitment and compatibility. If living abroad is something you really want, and they do not really want, you are not compatible, but you can still be committed.
Yeah. Yes. She's big. That's sex goddess. There's a reason why she's called sex goddess. So
You having her crack up.
Taylor Sparks.
I'm sorry, Taylor. Forgive him. So give me that question one more time, Dee. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I if you had any parting thoughts, things that, in this conversation, we shared a couple of questions that we would talk about, but what do you want people to come away from a conversation with a married couple that are recognizing, whether it's moving abroad or something else, when your timing is different? What do you want people to come away with that will help them navigate that landscape positively?
I'll go. Well, I would say, okay, I'm speaking to the brothers, and it goes with the young ladies as well. We have to understand that when we do our things and we do stuff that we do, 90% of the time, our wives are going along with what we want to do. 90% of the time, they're raising the families, they're doing these things. And that's not saying that they're not going to work too. We have to respect them and understand that when they take on our last names, they lose a part of their identity already off the bat when they take on our last name. So now they become Mr. and Mrs. Parker. You see what I'm saying? So we have to understand that they're individuals too. They have dreams, they have desires that they want to do. And a lot of times they put them on the back burners for us. Even though we're working and we're doing our stuff, we have to understand that they want these things. So we need to support them when they need that support. They want to do something. A lot of times she would be she didn't really go out a lot of times with her friends and stuff. And I'd have to tell her, look, well, you go out, go do something, have some fun, go fly, be free, do things. We have to allow them to do that. And if we can't do that, that just means we're insecure about something. Somewhere in there, we're insecure about something. It ain't like a lot of times you got brothers, man, I can't let my girl going out doing that, man. She might find somebody else, blah, blah. Then you ain't doing something right. You know what I'm saying? You ain't doing something right. Because 99% of the time, your woman ain't going to just up and leave you unless you're doing some dumb I almost said, I can't cuss on here, huh?
Yeah, you can, bro.
Wait, what did we say? This is a grown
okay. Unless you're doing some dumb shit. Don't do dumb shit.
Yeah.
Look, remember, your woman is a person who has feelings and love and desire that they want to do. So we have to try to be as supporting as possible for them, because they do always support us. Always. So whether we believe it or not, they do support us when you have a good one. And we always said, when you get a good one, put that lasso on them, put them shackles on them, and keep that good one. Keep them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's my main thing. And that goes into this, like what we're doing, how I'm supporting her on that. And she's supporting me. She's allowing me to have that time to think about it and get things together and all that. She's not pressuring me, and I'm not pressuring her and other things like that. Only thing a lot of times, like I said, I'll ask her, the safety part of it. We have conversations about the financial part of it and things like that. So I'm thinking along that line of it. How are we going to pay this? How are we going to pay that? When you go over there, how is this going to work financially? So my mind is thinking like that, and she can think about the other stuff, but that's part of our, like we talked about before, that's our security. That's our, our whole everything. We're about security and about foundation. Mm-hmm. So, that's the things that we have discussions on. So every now and then they get a little heated, but
that's reality.
It's never to the point to where it's something crazy. So, so crazy.
I said it all. I don't think I have anything to add. I guess what I would add, as difficult as conversations can be, especially if you guys are not on the same page at that, if you guys have a difference of opinion or timelines or whatever, that it's really important that you take that leap of faith and tell your partner, tell your spouse, this is what I'm needing. Mm-hmm. This is how I'm feeling. And especially for women, like I said, we go through a metamorphosis at a certain age. We really, truly do. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's a beautiful thing, because hopefully we come out on the other end a much better person than we were when we started. So it's really just about having those difficult conversations and respecting the other person's, how they're feeling. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could be beating him over the head saying, I want you to go, and I really do. I want him to go with me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to necessarily do this alone, or, and have to wait for him to make a decision on when he's ready to come or when he's available to come. But I also know me beating him over the head or me just constantly, nagging him about it is not going to make it any better. Mm-hmm. So I have had to learn to step back and appreciate that he is giving me this opportunity and supporting this opportunity for me to go and, do this adventure. Mm-hmm. And try something new, and hopefully maybe even make a new life for a whole family, and a way of getting out if you need to get out. Mm-hmm. Because we know this country is not getting any better. And, some people can agree or disagree with, what I'm saying right now, but it's not getting any better. Mm-hmm. And,
And the interesting thing is watching her go through all this through menopause.
There will be a part 2, apparently, to this conversation. Because I was like, no, I don't see very many couples having the menopausal conversation.
Oh, and that's the one we got to have.
Here and Herman want to be the honest husbands in the room. But, so I wrote this morning. I'm not a songwriter, but if I was, this would be fodder for that. It's a bumpy road to beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's a bumpy road to our beautiful life. Mm-hmm. 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 Every bump has been worth it. Mm-hmm. I may not understand as I'm getting thrown around and bumped around and
as I'm getting thrown around and bumped around.
Exactly. But this is our beautiful life. Absolutely. And I see Angela and Pierre continuing to craft their beautiful life together. And I'm hopeful that everybody that comes across this video recognizes it's your responsibility to create the beautiful life that you want. Right. And that as a couple, I have a responsibility, not just from the altar and the vows that we declared at our marriage, but that as one human being who is connecting to you for a lifetime, that I hold your dream sacred as I hope that you hold my dream sacred.
Right.
Nice.
And I am so proud that this community, that your community, Unapologetically 50 plus, are safe spaces for people to have that dream validated, but that many of us are not in a bubble. Family, friends, children, spouses, you know, and then those are the people that you care deeply for. And then there's the outer circle that is out there for a reason. Your employer, friends, you know, neighbors and others that they can look in, but they don't have they may comment, but they don't have a responsibility to inform your process.
I want to comment here to Tanya. And because Tanya is walking with us for a long time, and she constantly shares, you know, her husband's making his moves as he makes his moves.
Nice.
I'm always honored, and you know, this is an example to me of when it's time and it's right, and your message is consistent and earnest. And someone who cares about you will make the moves as they make them that are best for them as they go. And I think this conversation with you two today has proven that, because I ain't letting her go nowhere without me.
He said, if I say I'm leaving, he's saying, where we going? That's
you know, and every house, in every function. And I've said to her, I've said to her, if you need to go before I have my stuff in order, go, because you can believe I'm not far. She's shorter than me, but throughout all of our relationship, especially when we were dating, when we would walk, she walks faster than me. I've never been able to, and when she's moving, she'll be a quarter mile ahead of me, and I cannot keep up. We did a 5K together several years ago, and somebody was passing me by and they were like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Okay." You know, like, "I thought I saw you with your wife." And I was like, "She's up there." You know, like, "That don't bother you?" And I was like, "No," because she knows that I always got her in sight. And if she looks back, she knows right where I am.
Yeah.
And her pace does not have to be my pace.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't bother me that she has a different pace, because we're headed in the same direction.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what I heard from you all today was, regardless of the pace, regardless of the process, your motion is forward together.
Yeah.
How can folk find and follow not just the Move Abroad journey, but the content that you're sharing as an established couple? Where can we find you? Because I put the contact details in the description of this video as well.
So we have pivoted from Love Park Connection because Mr. Parker here is so busy. But
I'm in the dungeons, shackled. No, I'll just do
but it's Unapologetically 50. But I'm Unapologetically 50 plus. So I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, which I don't post that much there, but all the platforms. And he makes his appearance every once in a while. So
I'll make my appearance.
So I talk all things Unapologetically 50 plus, from, like we talked about, menopause to just regaining ourselves as women in this transition, because it is a transition. So
yep.
Absolutely.
And we'd love to have all of you guys come on, and you know,
So
definitely getting you guys back on there. So
everybody knows what to do. Go to their channel right here while they're sitting there looking at you. Go ahead and subscribe. If you're new to our channel, do the same for us.
Yep.
Because this for us continues to be on H&D about the community.
Yes.
This process that Dee and I have been in has been a struggle, and at times an overwhelming one. But a lot of our growth, a lot of what has helped us to maintain has been through the process of this community.
Mhm.
And we continue to meet great people like the Parkers. And
thank you.
we just excited for you all to have been here with us today.
Oh,
So if you're looking in the future, as always, this was a conversation. It continues to be a conversation. Hit us in the comments section.
Yep.
If you got questions directly for them, they can read those comments and they can comment directly to you as well. As always, peace, love, and hair grease.
Bye, everybody.